Hello there, I'm St-Pierre, and you're listening to Go Podcast. Today I have a confession to make. I written some application in something else than Go. Hello, Gophers. I'm a little bit more energetic these days because, well, in Quebec, Canada, the temperature is slowly returning to something acceptable. So the winter is kind of going to an end slowly but surely. So the sun is back, the light is back. So yes, a little bit more energy, I would say. I brought back the music, the intro music. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm still I'm still playing around with the format of the podcast and what I want to do and what I don't want to do and things like that. So the intro music is back. Also, this will be a solo episode today. I will be having a guest next week. But yes, if you if you are interested and would like to propose an episode and things like that, do not hesitate to contact me. It would be my pleasure to talk with you and see what we can do. Did you upgraded to Go 122 yet? So there's a couple of discussion around saying that there's a couple of issues here and there, sometimes with races, data races and things like that, or maybe not data races, but more like runtime issues, a little bit here and there, and a couple of other small issues with the 122. So the question is now we should ask ourselves, or even with the backward compatibility guarantee, might be an idea to depending on what the type of operation that you are doing at your company. Should you wait? Should you wait a little bit, maybe for the first minor version, which is a little bit sad to say because Go is having such a stellar track record and things like that. The compiler and things like that, the language overall. So I worked for a long time in a fintech company in the financial industry, and to me, it was stability was a paramount. It was required to have the system be up and running as much as possible. So I would say that I'm not the one that was pushing to upgrade the version when a new major version was released. The thing is, when you are publishing a library, for example, then you kind of it's a more difficult decision to make, because now there will be some of your users and quote unquote users, packages and programs that depends on your library that will want to upgrade and things like that. So yes, it's a touchy thing. I'm sure you all thought about that and things like that. But might be. I hope that we will not enter this this era of being a little bit afraid of upgrading, because that was not my experience so far with Go. So that's something to think about a little bit. All right, let's move on to our main topic of the day, and it will be about template in Go. When you are building a web application, and not just an API, for example, at some point you will probably want some template, and more specifically the templ package, TEMPL. I'm not sure if it's pronounced temple or what. But let's just say that it is. And I will be completely frank here and honest. When I saw the package at first and what it was doing, I was like, I don't know. My reaction was a little bit more towards the, something like, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if addressing the problem, if there is any problem. To me, the HTML/template package is just good. And I did not really saw the value at first of temple. I'm not even sure that I'm seeing it. So again, I haven't used it yet in production. I just want to talk a little bit about the template situation in Go, because there's a backstory to all of this. To be to continue in my honesty, I will have to admit that in the past, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months, I will admit that I have dabbled, or at least look at some other languages and framework to build some small web applications. So Django and Python was the one. Why I'm saying that is that I kind of discover a little bit what a couple of problems that I think was hard, or at least building web application in Go is depending on what type of application. But let's go a little bit one step further in my backstory. So I needed to cut some subscription of mine. So I was having two web applications that I was using. So the first one was FreshBooks, basically to hold my consulting company invoices and kind of accounting-ish. So they raised their price, and it was a long discussion of mine with my wife and I. So basically, she's doing some accounting in the company and whatnot. But long story short, I said to myself, oh, screw that. I will just build myself a small web application that that just have some invoicing functionalities and some kind of. I need some recurring. I have some client that I do hosting to, and I charge them for a monthly fee and whatnot. So something very very small and simple: invoicing, time tracking, recurring invoicing, and with Stripe billing and whatnot. It took me like 2 days to build in Django and Python, and I did not really had prior experience with Django. To be frank, it was something that I wanted to use. The other application, it was to host my online courses, basically. So I was using another services, and they kind of made a feature, a paid feature, so something that was included in my subscription, and at some point they decided, well, you know what, we will charge for that. And I said, all right. I'm a programmer. I have some times ahead of me, so I decided to do that. Of course, this might sound crazy, and to be frank, I had some times, because I keep saying that, but I kind of was part of an acquisition last year, and in November of 2023, my kind of mandate, or my contract with the acquirer, stopped. So I decided to take a little bit of time to myself. I wanted to build a course, so I built a course that is named "Build a Google Analytics in Go." And yes, I mean that was the backstory. So why didn't I chose Go? First of all, I needed to be extremely quick. Those types of application are mostly CRUD-ish application. To be completely honest, I have said it many times. I don't think that Go is the best choice for these types of application. After a couple of months, I'm not sure. I'm still game of saying that, because as much as I found the experience, quick and interesting, I'm not sure I would like to have a production system built in Python Django, to be completely honest. And I don't want to bash. I still really like the framework. I think they did a very great job with it, and I'm probably not doing enough tests to be confident and things like that. So I mean, the fault is on me. I'm not bashing the language nor the framework at all here. It's just that I found myself missing Go during this time, but it also made me wonder, what is exactly wrong? What is my problem with building kind of CRUD application with Go? Because I've did an episode on handling database queries in Go. So the entire story about the SQL database is very, very well done. Don't get me wrong here, but the amount of code that one needs to write is kind of extremely verbose. It's very repetitive, not fun at all. There's a couple of library, and I don't want to rehearse the entire episode. So if you want to know my probably biased opinion on the subject, you may listen to the show. But suffice to say that I had the chance, by looking at something else, I had the chance to really ask myself some question. And this is me talking to me. What is your problem with Go exactly? And the template is also something that I did not really, I could not really put that in Word back in the days. But now that I've built a couple of applications with Django, I think that the template is very good, but it's not enough. It's not enough. There's not enough functionalities for the template. Just things like the entire filter in Django. And I don't want to be to talk too much about Django in here. It's not the point. I don't want a framework in Go as well. I just want some quick functionalities, and the func map of the template is a good place to do that, and I've used that multiple times. In fact, probably in all my project, I'm always creating some functionalities. So things like internationalization, for example, is kind of a little bit harder to do. Everything that touches the front end in a sense in Go is kind of harder. You still have to build a lot of things yourself. Let's just say that. So when I first saw the temple, what temple is trying to do, or at least what I understand that temple is trying to do, my point of view, I did not really liked it. You have now a completely separate file extension, or at least a file format to build your web application views, or whatever, call that what you want, pages, views, component. I don't know exactly how those things are called, but template. What I told myself, why we don't really need a new format. HTML is good. non-developers can edit those files very easily. They understand the syntax and things like that. And now you have kind of a, at first glance, it looked to me something like, what JSX is for React, for example. So if you are not, used to React and things like that, let's just say that it's kind of mixing JavaScript with HTML. So it's kind of remind me of the old. I came from the classic ASP back in the days, where PHP was like that. When I started, my first web application was like in 1997 or something like that, and it was in PHP. And but my first job was with ASP, classic ASP, and those two things, you kind of mixed a lot of code in your HTML. So we've moved from that a long time ago. So JSX is obviously way cleaner. I mean, I'm not saying that you are mixing too much code inside your, but you're still having some, a different experience other than writing plain HTML. And that was my first my first thought when I saw temple, was now you need to have this this new file extension. You need to compile those templates. And finally, you have some code that is so you have another compilation process. I don't. There was a lot of things that I did not really like about, to be frank. And a couple of weeks ago, I was starting to think a little bit like, how can I make the template in Go a little bit more fun to work with? To me, it always returned to having fun and things like that. Not. So Django was fun, to be frank. Creating the template in Django, creating the HTML view, the application UI. I hate it, but I still do. It's something I've been doing for years. I mean, how can we bring that to Go? I mean, is it possible? Is it even possible? So temple was not the answer, but I said to myself, you know what? Let's just have a look at their documentation. So I read the entire documentation, and they almost convinced me to try it. I haven't yet. I'm still unsure. I would like to go that route. I think I would still prefer to try and bring maybe some layer on top of HTML template to bring a lot of functionalities that would help, just having a little bit more easier time to build the UI of the application. But that is something that I'm still thinking. Maybe there's some libraries as well. I found one which now the name is evading me, but it will be on the show note. But yes, there's some libraries that already kind of feel the funk map, like I'm saying, and giving lots of more built-in functionalities on the templates. So returning to the story, I mean, so that's a little bit why I did not choose Go for those two applications. I kind of regret it a little bit now after the fact. It was extremely quick, to be frank. I'm not sure I've said it, but it took me 2 days to write, or maybe 3. Let's say 3, whatever. To write the invoicing application with recurring recurring invoices, tribe charge, and things like that. I mean, we cannot deny the fact that Django is very, very quick to build that kind of application. But still, today after it's what, like 5, let's say 4 months, 5 months. I'm starting to miss Go a little bit. So that's why that's something I might want to start investigate a little bit. Is it going to be a library that I will build? Will I contribute to the one that I found, which look nice? I mean, but they seems to be abandoned for a long time. So I'm not sure. I might want to reach out to the maintainer and things like that. See what's going on with that, and why they are stopping the development of that. Maybe the library is completed. I don't know. The point is, I mean, when you are building an API in Go, which is probably the best use case for Go in my opinion, but sometimes I would like for the me of the future to find a way to be as productive and have as much fun with building CRUD-like application, very, very simple application in Go, instead of having to revert to Python and Django, for example, or Rails, for example, and things like that. And some of you might say, well, you should try Buffalo and things like that. Well, no. This is not what I'm talking at all, because now I don't really want to use a framework that exists, because in my opinion, I don't want to have any kind of backend functionalities written for me and things like that. This is also fun for me. This is something that I like to do. The problem is mostly on the UI and on the database, but yet I would not also want to use GORM. So GORM, the ORM is not the solution for me. So I've talked about that in that previous episode that I'm referring to a couple of minutes ago. So that's not the solution as well. So the solution, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's temple, maybe not. I will have to test it. I know that it is really, it's gaining in popularity and things like that. I don't know that I like the fact to have to compile something. So if you haven't seen it, it's nice. I mean, you're kind of building your application in kind of small component way with this mindset, a little bit like, I don't know, those JavaScript front framework and whatnot. So you're calling your component with an @ symbol. You can do @ and the function name, or @ and the package name and the function name. There's a lot of code that is that replicates Go format. For example, you can do some if, you can do some for loops. So the idea is good, but again, this is kind of mixing HTML with Go a little bit, and now you need to compile those things before using it. This compiles to a template, basically, so you can render that directly and things like that to an IO reader. I mean, it's very nice. It's beautifully designed. It seems to be well thought and things like that. I'm just unsure that for me it's going to fix my problem with prototyping a web application in Go, especially a non-API, so a more traditional monolith application. Let's say that yes, let's say that you want to build an invoicing application in your weekend. Can you do that in Go? You can, but it might take a couple of days in addition to that, because of the database and because of the template, not because of the backend stuff. The backend stuff will be, in my opinion, way more solid in Go, for sure, because of the compilation and the types. Creating middleware is very easy in Go. Chaining middleware, we have solved that problem. This is not where you would lose time building this hypothetical invoicing software. So how can we make the database a little bit more interesting? So without entering too much of the ORM, because I don't believe that there's too many people fond of that, and I really like SQL. Don't get me wrong. I'm the first one that will always choose SQL. I've been writing SQL, for 2 decades now. That's not a problem for me, but yes, I mean, it would be nice to find something, and I've seen Hent, ENT, recently, which seems to be N for it stands for entity, so it seems to be like an ORM for Go, but I think it's built on Java and things like that. I don't really know yet, but that seems to be. That seems to be something that, because the thing that I like with the Django ORM, or at least the approach that I was kind of starting to think to replicate in Go, was you start from a model and the migration are just based on the changes that you apply to that model. So if you have a new field, or if you change a field type and things like that, you just generate some migration, and that's mostly it. I find it, this part, I find it very elegant, because my migration are not not very fun in Go as well. So that was fun, in Python, Django, when you just open your model.py and you just change something, or you add a field, and boom, that's done. I think it might be very interesting to see if something like that can be done. So even if it would be a command line that, I don't know, that read all the packages in the current directory, and search for a certain file. This is something that I kind of started to brainstorm in my head. So maybe we could have, and I know that it's not usually acceptable to have a model.go file in a package, but it could be, and this tool could monitor that, inspect the code in there, and generate some migration based on the changes that we would do on the type. So let's say you have a type client, or whatever, a type invoice, and if the command line tool could do some diff with the last version that it generate a migration from, and just calculate what's changed, and generate some migration from that. This to me sounds fun. Sounds something like I would choose Go, for a weekend project. Something that I would like to build, and I know that it is more CRUD like, but I still very, very like Go, so I would like to build it in Go. But I mean, at some point you cannot put twice or 3 times the effort just because there's so many things that needs to be written regarding the database. So I think I kind of went a little bit too far. I wanted to my first thought was to talk a little bit about temple and whatnot, but I mean it might be related to CRUD a little bit. Why I think Go is still missing some things for me, at least, to build very quick CRUD side project, or at least throwaway project. And this might be something that I will attack in the next following months. I don't know. I appreciate Go too much, and I'm kind of regretting now, 3 months, 4 months later, to have written those two applications in Django, to be frank. So maybe it's up to me to bring a package to the community that is attacking the problem differently than what Temple is doing. In my opinion, I would still like to edit my HTML in HTML file. I believe that the HTML template is good enough, but it needs to be augmented with some decent functionality, and that's mainly something that I might do. On that, if you want to sponsor this podcast, I mean, I have 2 courses in my website, which there's some links in the show notes with direct coupon. So yes, if you want to sponsor this show, this is how to do that. And on that, I will see you next week.